Ben Sufyan is Program Director of the n.d.a.a. Centre in Kuala Lumpur, an opinion research firm that's also monitoring voting in the election. Ben Sufyan, it's good to be talking to you. A week to go to election day. Where is this election going to be won or lost?
It's looking very, very interesting, Jim. We are a week away. We are conducting some polling with voters here in the western part of the country. And it's looking more and more that we're going to have a very close result between the ruling party and that of the opposition. The numbers seem to be moving slightly in favour of the opposition, particularly among younger voters.
Why do you think that might be?
I think it has something to do with the lineup of the leadership that the opposition has put in offer, their candidates list, as well as the kind of issues that they're bringing into the campaign. They're talking more about cost of living issues, pocketbook issues, practical problems that the people face each day.
So if the opposition is to have a chance of winning, does the polling you're doing indicate that it is making inroads in Barisan Nasional strongholds, places like Sabah, Sarawak and Johor?
Well, we're getting mixed results there. They are, I think, making more progress in the southern part of the peninsula, in Negeri Sembilan, in Malacca, in Johor, as compared to Sarawak. In Sarawak, the numbers seems to show that they are very strong in the urban centres, but they're having difficulty penetrating into the more rural heartland of the country. In Sabah, they are also experiencing the same thing, and the local politics there, I think, is preventing them from making large gains.
If the opposition is to win this election, it needs to pick up something like 40 seats. On the polling that you're doing and other available evidence, are they making sufficient ground up to do that?
They have the potential to do so. The reason is because the sheer size of the young electorate in this particular election is giving them the advantage and allowing them to make inroads in areas that hitherto were not possible. Johor, Perak, Selangor, they will expand current gains. They will also probably expand in the urban centres in Sabah and Sarawak. So the marginal suburban seats look possible of turning opposition if the going is right in this last final lap.
What are the issues then that are going to determine this election? Is it leadership? Is it the personalities of Anwar Ibrahim and Najib Razak? Or are there other substantive issues that are going to change people's votes?
The polling that we are doing right now, and have been so in the past, indicates that people want to see their ordinary problems being resolved. The three major problems of cost of living, crime, and that of corruption that they are experiencing, whether in business or in daily life, are the things that they want to see government fix in the short term. Unfortunately, these are not the issues that are being discussed by the ruling government's campaign, but the opposition is taking full advantage and talking about their economic proposals in their campaigns with the people.
What about problems for the opposition? There's been this split over the question of Islamic law. Is that biting with the electorate? Is that affecting their chances of building support?
Yeah, the questions about Islamic law does have an impact, particularly amongst our non-Muslim voters here. They are getting a bit concerned about the statements coming out from the Islamic Party. However, the data seems to indicate that while their favorability towards the Islamic Party is declining, the intention to vote stays with the opposition. So I think the public has reached a point where their concerns over this imagined issues of Islamic State is subsumed under their desire for change.
There has been considerable concern. There has been considerable concern about the state of the electoral rolls. Do you think it's sufficiently suspect to undermine the credibility of the result on Sunday?
It is possible. In my own capacity in n.d.a.a. Centre Research, we have been looking into the electoral roll. We've done some ground surveys and we found that there are areas, specific areas, not widespread, but specific areas where there are inaccuracies with the electoral roll that may affect the outcomes in those places, which in the end may affect who holds key states in the country.
In the lead up to this election, the government has made very large handouts to very carefully targeted groups of voters. What effect is that having on voting intentions? Is it actually succeeding in building up or shoring up support for Barisan Nasional?
Actually, it had the effect of boosting support. We did detect a feel-good factor favoring the ruling coalition during the time when the cash handouts were at its peak. And that was around March of this year, tapering off into the mid-April period of our time here. But the election is in May, so we suspect that a lot of people have already spent the cash and are now just looking ahead to vote. So there might be some lingering positive feelings, but it's decidedly less so than it was in March.
One of the factors in this election is the ethnic mix of the nation, obviously. Chinese voters tend to support the opposition, Malays, Barisan Nasional. In the 2008 election, the opposition was successful in winning over substantial Indian voters. They appear to have drifted back to BN. Why do you think that is?
In part, the Indian voters have definitely gone back to the BN, but not to the levels that the BN had seen prior to 2008. Prior to that, they were enjoying about 80% support of the Indian community. Now we are estimating about 55%. The reason is because the anger arising from the Hindu rights movement has dissipated. The movement itself has split into many different factions, and I think to his credit, the Prime Minister and the ruling government has made a lot of effort to assist low-income Indians, assisting those that are not documented, providing them with state IDs.
To what extent has this been a contest between race and class, if I could put it that way, with Anwar appealing to voters' economic aspirations and Najib looking to win the election on the basis of people's racial affiliation?
I think that is the color of this election. We are seeing two very contrasting themes to this campaign, because while Najib talks about one Malaysia and talks about the transformation that he has initiated since taking power in 2009, the ground campaign conducted by local campaigners and local leaders decidedly have a very communal tone to their speeches and their rhetorics. On the other side, you can also see a consistent message coming from the opposition talking about assisting the lower income, assisting people who are marginalized in society, giving them a leg up on the economic ladder. So there is a big difference in the theme, and it is in some sense a referendum about the status quo in Malaysia, whether things continue to be based on race and communal interests.
This is also a very young electorate. What indications are you getting about how the young will vote? Are they more inclined to vote for the opposition than their parents who would have voted BN?
Yes. The surveys that we've done from last year about people who are voting for the first time, we have a very large number. 1/4 of the electorate is voting for the first time. A majority of them are pro-opposition or anti-establishment, to say the least. And they decidedly have a very strong bent towards experimenting, towards trying for change as opposed to their parents. And the main reasons driving this are practical issues. They want to see better jobs, they want better economic prospects, and in some sense they are also tired of the restrictions in Malaysian society, like curbs over the press and stuff like that.
Everywhere you go in the world, fear is a very useful campaign tactic. BN is warning of violence and chaos should the opposition win the election. How effective is that proving as a campaign strategy?
Well, interestingly, we actually asked specifically this question, and I'm looking at the data this morning. So far, yes, there is a layer of people that have concerns over fear, but they tend to be older respondents in our poll. Younger people are not looking at that. Younger people are looking at the campaign messages and the candidates that are on offer. So by and large, we think that fear has less of an impact on this campaign compared to previous ones.
It is a week out from the election. A week is a long time in politics, but on your best estimation at this moment, what do you think the election outcome will be? Will BN retain power, or can the opposition win this election?
I think the opposition has a chance of winning this election. We are putting the chances at still at 50% between the two sides. A week out, and we've seen traditionally people make the decisions very late. There's still about 9% of voters undecided. So they are going to hold the key to who wins Putrajaya.
Ben Sophian, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.